in the district, then they'll also make sure we have the requisite utility easements. We need to check the time and the documents for that, but I'm sure they'll provide it. As part of that conversation, we did, again, we just sort of put questions out there, and I don't know if I'm mistaken, or if you're doing good, please let me know. This is where I also got to talk with Mr. Adams, is the U.S. owns the NAR, or whatever I call themselves nowadays, still need to be involved to some extent, because they would be the entity granting the easement, because they still own it. So the question becomes, will the U.S. homes then deed it to the master association, and then release it from the master association, or will U.S. homes deed it to the condominium associations as part of the common area? So that's the issue we need to talk with Mr. Adams about, because that's his area, the HOA, the condo area. But I think Adam and I didn't have a conversation and say, could I talk to the village? But yeah, we can probably get some direction from the board. But I think that stuff might be to have Mark and myself talk to Mary and say, well, if we want to do, what are your thoughts? And she's been really good in my dealing with her at the golf course. And
she's been so supportive.
All those, yeah, she's been very helpful. Whether this can be problematic or I don't know, but I think we can get direction from the board and such to go ahead and have that contact after the holidays. This is a tough time of year to have any meetings and see what happens. And I would suggest we also ask that Mr. Adams or somebody from the HOA be part of that conversation also, so she can understand you guys' community issue, and we're walking hand in hand on this. I think it's always helpful. Always appreciates that, and she knows the community's involved.
Dennis,
and so that's where we are now. Again, I think it may end up being the easement issue. Again, that is necessary interest. In other instances, we've actually had districts where the districts have leased their roads from the condominium association. If we ran into an easement issue or a deed conveyance issue, that we leased it. Because again, there's a requisite interest in the property. But still, at some point in time, I'm sure U.S. Homes wants to be out of the picture because they have liability. If anything happens on that road, an accident or anybody else, the personal injury lawyers of the world will knock on everybody's door that has any possible interest in that real estate. How are they still involved? They never deeded it and turn over or acquire these tracts to either the master or to the condominium association. Nor included it. It's a strange kind of thing. I think Joe Adams would even agree. We would have it for the condominiums, and then the roadway tract is not part of the common area, is my understanding. So it's kind of odd.
Well, NAR inherited in U.S. Homes bankruptcy, so NAR probably never even knew what was going on.
Well, they never finalized it, and this is happening when the districts are represented, whether NAR is involved, whether I'll call straggler parcels or remnant parcels where deeding over another took place. And so, in fact, we're going through an Gateway. We were on our final 21 lots of parcels that were being deeded to the district.
Because now I went through the whole thing, up and down all the streets, and it's only those two parcels that are still part of U.S. Homes and NAR.
Yeah, and what markings mentioned at Adam and I think were concurrence on the Mark Sorley and Markings was on the green, the cul-de-sac area also include that. And this is where we get to Lancaster Rams platted, the district owns, and then the green, pick that up, make sure we hit that circle. And then when we get to the pool area, I think that we were okay with how they ended the pool area, which is page 2. Yeah. And again, you can see that if the roadway track is platted, you end up with all these little isolated parcels.
So the HOA is going to pick up the parking area again where the pool area is. But the thing that makes this complicated is by just taking the green section on, like the county and our, I guess, ownership of that road, if we were able to deed just the green section to us, I think it's going to make it really complicated to A, get a survey, and B, get that conveyed to us. And I don't think the people in Lancaster want us to take control of like the dumpsters and make that public, and so like it's very important, I think, for us to not take that or those areas kind of like in between the car parking areas, the dumpster areas, the the green space in between. So the green as illustrated on these pages, is really what we're looking to pick up, and that's it.
Yeah, and one thing that Mark Zuni on page picked up on was I'll call it, the little connecting pieces for the crossover, in between areas, and so they picked up on that also, but they recommended that be part of it, that way you have a unified approach.
Okay. So Sharon, we are continuing working on it. Dennis, after the holidays, when you and Joe and Tony and Adam can meet up with the village, hopefully we'll have some more answers in January. But as you can see, it's an ugly issue, and there's a lot of...
I know, I spent a lot of sleepless nights.
Yes, and it's a lot of nuts and bolts we have to get.
I have a question. Great. So, this community, your condo community, Lancaster's been around for what, 25 years?
The first building went up in 1999.
And so, within your HOA, there's language on what your HOA dues are responsible for.
Correct.
And was the road never part of that?
Never. When my husband, deceased husband, and I bought our condo in 2002, actually, it was laid out before us that we were going to have to pay quarterly fees, and it broke down what those quarterly fees would contain. So every quarter, a portion would be for the roofing reserve. So every 20 years, they were going to replace those roofs, although they've done it sooner because of the hurricane. So then the next one was painting reserve. So a portion of that quarterly fees we knew was going to go towards painting those buildings every 7 years, the 4 buildings that I take care of. When it came to paving, it was a big NA. So we would have never been responsible for paving.
John, what's standard? There's a lot of communities like this.
Not in situations like this.
But a lot of communities, single-family homes and condos. So what do the condos typically do in their road?
Within their parcel, it's their responsibility to have it. This one's unique. You've got a median road that serves 4 different condo associations, so.
You know, I've looked at their documents, and there's nothing in their documents about being responsible for anything but the parking spaces and the car.
Yeah.
And, and that's a, unfortunately, from the turnover, that it was never defined. And so we're working through it now, and we are diligently working through it, and we will get it resolved one way or another. It can make it very costly for all of us, you know, the HOA, the condos, and the board, but we are working on it, and we have to get numbers to see where we are with it all. So
The biggest thing for me is there's an amenity that's open to the entire community at the end.
Right.
So in my view, I feel like that is just as important as the road, which takes people from the front of the community to the community center. There's an amenity at the end. And we got to provide access to the front of the amenity.
Right. So, we'll continue working. After the first year, we'll get in touch with Mary Gibbs.
Yes, as I mentioned before, I have represented district court, district police's rules, and condominium association, just because of where the documents were created. And then condominium association in Gateway, the roadway, it was a similar kind of situation. Roadway track, carports on either side, units on either side, and road indeed to the district. That road, that one was indeed.
Okay.
One other issue that Mark raised was setbacks. That's another concern, is that when you have a platted tract or a separate tract, the city, villages, counties, towns typically measure building and structure setbacks from that lot line. So if it was to be deeded over, arguably it could create setback issues and make the buildings and carports non-conforming from a setback perspective about it in the land development code, which you can't do. So that's part of our conversation with Mary to make sure also that it was to be an easement, that the easement line would not be the setback line. If that makes sense.
Yeah, when this all started getting discussed almost a year ago, I remember having a conversation. This isn't just as simple as let's just pave it and move on, because if we do that, we're going to just kick the can down the road for the next time. So it's like,
Let's clean it up now.
let's do it right. And
In regards to the lease, I mean,
lease renewal on that.
What are you paying for that?
It'd be $1 a year.
Right.
We beat it 10, and we have all those obligations for the maintenance, et cetera.
Yeah, we're not talking big dollars. Okay. All right, so Sharon, we're on the agenda for next meeting. Okay?
And the next one.
And the next, thank you. And the next one.
It'll
Okay,
take a little bit of time.
yes.
Attorneys gotta get enough, get paid, you know?
In my opinion, it's doable, it just takes the parties and the time, because I'm not with parties, that's the issue.
I'm just totally appreciative, because this has been an uphill battle for me, because I'm the only one that will speak up. And I felt that my voice was for not only me as a homeowner, but for 207 other homeowners. And every month that I came to these meetings, it seemed like I was always being disregarded. I saw snickers, from the board members. There was wording from the board member that was very disrespectful. And all I was trying to do was become an equal in this community, along with the other 206 condo owners. And I just felt, I really did. I felt like I was being abused, basically, by this board until, like I said, you spoke up, Phil, at one point in time, and definitely Adam. So for that, I'm truly appreciative, because, like I said, there's been many sleepless nights, and I felt that in the beginning, it was like nobody, they're not going to do anything about this, because we have the power and we have the control, and nobody is going to step forward, and that's where someone made their biggest mistake. And I have fought things like this my whole life, and I'm almost 78. So I will fight for the underdog every single time, and that's what I felt that we were being treated as.
Well, I will tell you, since day one, we've been working on this. It hasn't stopped. Tony will attest to that. So sometimes things get misinterpreted, and your feelings obviously got hurt. So on behalf of the board, we apologize for that, but certainly never intended. This has all been in process since we first started the project.
Yeah, and I've never heard a single board member object to the direction that we're headed.
Just all the legality, trying to get through all
The
this.
legal side of it.
Yeah, and like I said, I totally appreciate it, and I really do, Adam. I think that because you took the reins, that you were the head of this whole thing coming to a conclusion. So for that, I truly appreciate it.
Okay,
Far from the conclusion.
yes.
We'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there.
We're
Okay,
starting to walk to the starting gate.
yes, we're getting there, yes,
We have to find the starting gate.
somewhere. Cool. Okay, John, you're on.
So it's with some great sadness and a heavy heart that we lost an employee last week, a dear friend of mine who I've known since childhood, so I was about 15, his name was Jeremy Hughes. He worked on our common grounds. He passed away last Wednesday night,
How old is Jeremy?
45.
What in the world?
Don't know. I've been in touch with his mother, trying to see if there was any kind of benefits, or he didn't have health insurance. But I tried to see if maybe our just general policy had the death benefit, but it doesn't.
So are they having a service or anything for you?
I'll be spearheading that, yeah.
Okay.
His sister lives down here, he lives with his sister, she went up to her mother's in Tallahassee, and she's up there now. When she gets back, her and I are gonna sit down and work out some things and figure out a service for
You
him.
need to give me his full name so that I can get a brick for him?
If that's something you'd like to do, that'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, no, we do that for pro shop maintenance, and we did one for Vincenzo.
Vincenta, yeah.
John, what's his family situation, and how long do you work for us?
Jeremy just started working for us back in May. Family situation, so he has a daughter in Oklahoma, she's 18, she just graduated this past May. He hadn't seen her in a few years. Jeremy had been going through some personal issues, but he had been in communication with her, just reignited that relationship, and he was really happy about that. He was a good person. He was very, very fun to be around. His smile. He was funny. It's sad because he was a good one, for sure. And
when you arrange for whatever the memorial service is, let Chuck know so we can get it out to her. She'll probably do something here or wherever, just let us know, so.
Yeah. I mean, speaking with this mother, she wants to kind of do something private.
Okay.
Just maybe like a 10-person thing or...
And if there's something we can do, if we can help defray a little cost, maybe we can.
Awesome, thank you.
And do let them know that there will be a brick there so that they can stop in and we'd be honored.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Yes.
That's really cool. So, yeah, so that's kind of what I've been going through since the middle of last week. It's very unexpected. So, yeah. Next in line, I guess, so moving forward is, remember the payroll issues we were talking about in 2023, 24? So that's when I finally got to the, basically the root cause of that. Early last year, back in October, November, we were approved for 3 new people.
Right.
That weren't in the budget. So between that, and this was all the golf course, between that, all of Jade Bouchard's, which was a common ground employee irrigation tech at the time, his salary, which ended up being about $35,000, and then Rose's salary, half of her salary, which between them two was like 50-some thousand, and then the other 3 new people is where that extra money came from, the
Okay.
overs came from. Plus, I had a vacation paid out that was from the previous year, got hit on that year's budget. So between those 3 things, that's where it was.
Okay, so we know where that all is. Okay.
Yes. I'll stay kind of with, moving on common grounds. So we spoke about a trash agreement between our dumpsters, between us and the common grounds. I spoke with Tammy, I got a hold of her, and I said, Tammy, do you remember
Between us and the HOA.
I'm sorry, yes,
Okay.
between us and the HOA, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And I spoke with her about it. She said, yeah, absolutely, it was $150 a month. It was usually paid 1 time a year. She didn't say what time of year. She said, but if you go back, she told me to go back and get with Nicole.
This could be Chris. Is that Chris? Who just joined us on conference call? Hey, Chris, can you mute?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
Okay.
She didn't say what time of year it was paid out, but she said go back maybe a few years because it hadn't been done. Even when she was here, she was saying. So, and I hadn't gotten with Nicole on that. I wanted the dentist and I wanted to just get it taken care of. I mean, whether it's a few $1,000, but just moving forward, to Dennis's, we spoke a little bit, maybe just do a one-time payment, whatever, what time of year, probably October 1st, or for us, because we're fiscal year October.
Right.
And that would finish out, you guys are January 1, am I not mistaken, HOA? So that'd help finish out their year, it'd be the start of our year.
We'll finish there, yeah.
And do it like that.
All right, so-
And then monitoring on that's not for me to negotiate.
Okay.
But I will get you for next
When
month,
it's last paid?
what the total cost we're paying for trash on a monthly basis is
Okay.
between the 2 trash bins and the recycling that we have.
Okay, if we can do that, and we may have to renegotiate.
Madam Chairwoman, if we could have a motion to allow Chris Brady's continued participation by phone, noting exceptional circumstances, that would be...
I make a motion to allow Chris Brady to come by phone because of personal circumstances?
Exceptional circumstances.
Exceptional circumstances.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, Chris, you're on.
Also, Chris, because you weren't here in person, you weren't able to administer the oath of office, so you'll be listening in, but you won't be voting on anything.
Okay, what topic?
Right now, we're under the golf course staff reports. We've already addressed everything up to that point, chose not to accept the proposal received on the right-of-ways landscape maintenance, and we've already conducted number 8, which was the public hearing on the fees for the golf club.
And 9 and 12 we completed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Continue, John.
Okay, so that's good. We just got done with the palm and oak trim throughout the community. That went off good, looks nice. It looks a lot better. Instead of letting them, remember we let them sit for basically two trim cycles.
Right.
I thought they looked a lot better, especially around the Polish Community Center, much needed. I'm gonna go over, let's do golf course real quick. So, number 17, we finally sodded that area, the lady came and spoke about it on Pembroke. That looks really good. That's been me, so if anybody wants to know what some of the grass that's gonna be going on in the rough,
That's what it's gonna be?
during the renovation, that's what it's gonna look like. Where'd you put it? Along the left side of 17, along the lake bank there. Okay.
The people on the far side, all they could see was dirt and the things, so.
Yes, and we also did, number 5, we took out the shrubs in the back of 5 protein, and then some along the right-hand side, just along the lake bank, and we resodded.
Oh, okay.
So you'll see that new sod, so there too has also been. During that time, during that process, we had an issue with the cart path on 17, it collapsed. We're in the process of fixing that now, we're cutting it, I'm gonna go get the concrete as soon as I leave here, and we'll have that done by the end of the week. Probably pour it tomorrow. The seawall on 18, we had the company come in and we were approved not to exceed, I forget what the number, but it was
Like 14 grand.
yeah, it cost us 7, they did 6. They did a great job, looks really good, but it's, and this is, the contractor that didn't get awarded the bid said the same thing. This wall needs to be done. Yeah. Really soon. Not so much the other wall, comparative, but that wall is in dire straits. So,
Just for a quote.
well, we got one. Remember, he did a quote for both the composite.
$750.
It was $750 for both, so, and that wall is actually the longer wall, by about 100 feet.
So we're probably looking at like 400 for that wall, 300 for the other wall, something like that.
Right. Well, we're good to go if we get any heavy rains from now, so I feel pretty confident. Lake levels are still pretty high.
So is there no way to, have a blowout mitigation? I mean, you need to have water, the ability to get from behind the wall, like with a drain. Is there no way to put in drains along there, just in mitigation between now and renovation? So we don't have more blowouts, you know what I'm talking about?
So it's hard to pinpoint where those blowouts are going to be, right? What happens is you get the excessive water and then you can't see with your eye, next thing you know, it just inundates a certain area and then overnight it starts carving it out. I mean, most of those blowouts happen overnight. You'll come in like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, what was happening before, what was transpiring? I would say this, if they wanted, they'd probably do it. You know what I mean? They'd probably settle areas so all the water would channel to one area and do it.
Yeah, it just seems like we could put like 3 or 4, however many, just dig a pipe down from the ground behind the wall and dig a hole out the wall. The water just needs to get in from behind the wall.
No, it's not. So there's always going to be water behind the wall because it butts up. So all it is you have a wood wall, a little bit of fabric, and then the dirt. So typical failures are the wood rots out, because that wood will be like a 2x6, where the pilings are, right, they're 8-inch, 9-inch big pilings. As that fails, then that barrier pushes through, the weight of the water, it's all saturated. There's a lot of water, so it just, boom, blows out. That's one way it fails. The other way it fails is it gets so wet that the dead bands, the cables that go back and hold the pilings, right, it's so saturated back there, the weight of all that wet water slowly pushes that, because it's so saturated soup back there, it's not holding it, and it's all sand, it's not, these are 30 years old,
No, I hear you, maybe I'm not explaining it right.
I understand what you're saying, but I understand what he's saying, that putting a drain there isn't gonna help it, because where are you gonna drain it to the lake, but that's where it goes anyway, and it's just, so much gets behind it.
It's more has to do with the saturation of the dirt behind it, not necessarily the water.
Because the water's not able to get over the wall.
No. It's the saturation, the material.
How does it get saturated?
Because of excessive rain.
Because of water.
The water level.
So if you can make up the water get into the lake instead of behind the wall, it would mitigate that.
If that was the case, they'd tell me to put a drain in, would they not?
Right.
Who, the wall guys?
Yeah.
They're wanting to build walls.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to end it,
I've seen walls blow out, brother, I just saw it blow out, and it's because it didn't have drain behind it. You put drain behind it, it's never blown out.
so you're going to cut a hole in the wall and run the pipe through?
Absolutely.
Then you have the ability for anything behind it to get through where you cut the holes too. Right now, you're making a hole in the wall to get pipe through, which is wood.
Correct. You run a pipe.
So now you're running the chance of wherever you made that hole for your material now to get more past that. You can seal it, right? You can saw it, but how long is that gonna last?
Well, I mean, it's just, if the water's sitting there, so you
So just one moment, Chuck, have a very Merry Christmas.
Thanks.
Happy New Year.
Very good. Well, this is Shane Willis, he's a district manager, being an operations manager, so he's going to address for ops today.
Okay, very good.
My apologies for being late, and Tony, I'm sure we'll be nice.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the holidays.
Okay, I would have you ask me that. Thanks, Chuck. Just simply ask them, put a drain behind the wall, help mitigate. We're just talking about a couple of years, we're buying time here. I personally think that you need a drain behind that wall, regardless of whether we're doing mitigation or not. So future walls need to have drainage behind them to get water to the lake and out from behind the wall. So, I'm no engineer, but,
I think that's what we need to do. We need to hire an engineer to figure out what to do.
correct.
You know,
Not just the wall.
like we did with the bridges, let's get somebody to tell us what it needs to look like. I know Chuck had mentioned, I think Wild Blue was gonna do some kind of similar situation, and we could get a proposal. I don't even think we know what to do. Drill a hole, don't drill a hole, you know, where do you put the thing? As an engineer, I don't know. But like, somebody who specializes in that needs to come in and assess the situation. I think that wall may not last as long as we think it's gonna last.
Maybe it won't.
What I was told by both is if we have another summer like last year, they're gonna,
Let's not put wood on that.
last year was terrible. We had
Oh, it was
very, and that's the cause of,
We had over 60 inches of rain.
The repair looks great.
one, yeah, they did a really good job of lining that back up.
The one that Jacinto did
Is now,
is now pushing out, and it looks like it may be pushing out more than it was after he'd done the repair. So like,
According to the repair.
after he done, yes, it has.
it's moving. It's moving out.
We've had, remember, he did that early summer.
Yeah.
And said, yeah, when he first got out. When he first did, remember how we did the bridges in?
Yeah, it was like
It was the first set when they first came out here, to do the bridges on, I forget what bridges they did first. 13, he did 13. When we did 13 first, that's when he did that.
Right, went from 13 to 5.
So toward up to that point, one of the other contractors asked, hey, can I go ahead and bid on this? I hadn't gotten the numbers back from them. But when they went and looked at the wall on 10, they said, hey, you know, probably the last 150 feet of this towards the fairway, you know, you could probably get rid of it and feather the dirt down in and create. I said, that's fine, if you want to, give me a bid for the whole wall as it sits, but if you want to add that, because that's an LDO, that's a limited development area, right? That wall was in with the county or a certain way, so I said, go ahead and give us both options.
Right, we'll look into it from
And
there.
then what would the LDO cost us, what would all that entail, you know? So, I'm waiting on that, I haven't received that yet. So, that would give us, 3 quotes on the walls, right?
Okay, yeah.
And we need to get Johnson Engineering involved in this to tell us the way it should be.
Yeah, when Mark gets here, let's see if we can get somebody to look and see if we just need a drain there.
I don't think much has changed in 30 years since they were built.
You're old.
But Johnson may have, you know, there may be different techniques or different,
Right.
And you said there's a possibility to just do a grass then?
only on 10.
Well, then we're fine.
So the one on 18 very abrupt, it's straight down from start to finish, where 10 narrow there. Yeah, so I don't know if it could, like I said, I'm not an engineer,
You
but
really have to cut back.
that's, that ought to be something an engineer would look at and say, hey, maybe you could redefine this. The problem is, and that the contractor said this, we start doing that and push them dirt in the lakes, it just gobbles it up, right? You're just, it's just gonna eat it, eat it. You gotta put so much material, you know.
How deep do those pilings go down?
So they're different. On 18, they're 7-8 feet pilings, that's what they estimate. But on 10, there's some areas where they got the 9-10 foot pilings on some of the areas.
Are they all wood?
Yes.
Do they make them on concrete?
Do they? They do. Actually, leading that Wild Blue project over there, so we're familiar with this topic. So not your specific situation, but So the number one issue is the hydrostatic pressure from the water pushing behind the wall into the lake, so that's what you want to try to mitigate to prevent from happening. To answer your question directly, yeah, there's a number of, they have toe and anchor walls where they actually drill back towards the landward side, and they put the anchor in there.
Yeah, that's typical, right?
And then they have a vinyl style wall, which I will tell you is very expensive and almost kind of cost prohibitive from a project. We looked at that at Wild Blue, and it was outrageously expensive. So they're doing a combination of a concrete wall and some riprap. It's a hodgepodge project that they're doing over there to restore that. But it certainly weighed on the fetch of the lake and how much the water moves within the lake and where the major impact of that hydrostatic water pressure comes from. So it is a good thing to have the district engineer to review the structure of the lake. Yeah, I'm sorry.
How much more expensive is concrete over wood?
Well, so evaluating the project as a whole, so we're talking lifespan versus immediate spent money, I would say that it's probably comes out equal to, because the wood you have to replace more often, obviously, and the concrete's kind of a permanent fix. But again, depending on the scale and the scope of the project, you can overdo the concrete as well, and then it kind of gets cost prohibitive.
I had that question.
The company that we're using is called Cummingsburg Cedar. They're off from the East Coast. They're a seawall / retainment engineering specialist. So they do a lot of stuff for the state, and they do a lot of stuff for city and county governments, replacing damaged seawalls and whatnot. So they...
Did you say Cummingsburg Cedar?
Yeah, Cummingsburg and Cedar, I think is... I'll get you the... I mean, I'm probably saying that incorrectly.
Okay.
It's right backwards.
Share with to check to get to you.
But yeah, we'll get you the correct information from that firm. And actually, they come quite often to the Wild Blue meeting, so maybe we could tag team the two.
January, we have them coming here as well.
Sure.
That would be good.
And they can give their advice.
Okay, John, anything else?
Yeah, so, it's for the Duffys, Lisa. I walked with Drew yesterday, just saying I want to do a walkthrough, I'll kind of see where we're at, what's left, what needs to be done, what I'm seeing,
I think it looks weak.
yeah, as far as them, like, where at, like, whether the amount of plantings around the trees, the base of the trees.
No, mostly on the medians. It just seems like there's not many plants and they look very small.
Okay.
I eventually told you to.
Did he say anything?
No, not yet. There's more plants coming today. Mulch tomorrow, and then, right, did he tell you that? And then Friday, Monday, Tuesday, they'll be doing the front of Duffy's.
Front of Duffy's, yeah.
Hopefully you're bringing a lot of plants today. I just felt like it was pretty sparse, that's all.
I mean, according to the plan, that's all that's there, as far as I know. Now,
Hopefully they grow well.
I said the same thing around the base of the oaks. I was like, man, this looks like, how long is this gonna take? But he said
That ground cover.
that you asked him to remove 300 plants from there,
From where?
from the base of the,
From the base of the-
because they were more expensive than new plants. Remember, we were gonna go with jasmine. But then we decided not to go with jasmine, and now we're going with, Palacha,
I don't know what.
you know, and so that's what I was like, man, these seem kind of spaced out. He's like, well, currently that's how it was originally done. He's like, but I was asked to get rid of 300 so it can even get even sparser. I was like, I don't want that, because it's gonna take 8 months for this to grow. In between, there's gonna be cups and people stepping on them. We're not gonna rope them off. I thought about that. When this is done, we're gonna rope those, and just to keep people out of them.
Okay.
What else are we gonna do?
Walkways through there?
Yes.
We are gonna do the walkway, that's coming, he painted those out yesterday, we painted those out, and to that point, towards the entrance of the parking lot,
That's what I thought, we decided not to put anything at the moment.
plant-wise,
Yeah.
correct, this is more talking about the walk pavers, so when we were laying them out and getting them even, it seems like we could probably add two more walk, cut crews. And I said, well, how much are they? He said they would be, what is it, 600 each installed, so that's for materials. So, because it just, the last one would basically be, I don't know if you can remember very well, there's a walkthrough, where bag drop is, there's a walkthrough in that tall by Burnham Heads, they have like a little staging area back there.
Yeah.
That's where the last one is, and it's actually like 6 parking lots down.
Okay.
It just seems like on that end, there could be, it would make more sense to have one on each end.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
The only reason I say is we did have an incident where we had somebody fall and trip, and so, just to cover it, I told him, I said, I'm gonna mention it in the meeting, I'd love to go out there with you, show you, walk it, and, and then go from there. It's nominal, it's $1,200, so it's not that, but let's look at it and see. And then we talked about Adam happened to show up yesterday when I was doing a walkthrough, and maybe doing a paver walkthrough from the walk path out front on Corkscrew to Duffy's. Right there almost at the center of the Duffy's, so if you were walking up it, you would see Duffy's, you know what I mean, to help open up, because we'd have to take like one tree out, and then just so people walking would have a walkway in the Duffy's.
So if they're walking on their walking path, they can just come in.
Yeah. It'd be pavers.
For a Corkscrew.
From Corkscrew.
That sounds like a good idea.
That,
Like, the plants and stuff that we talk about, they're gonna, they'll die at some point, but like, the pathway is gonna be there in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I think Drew was saying probably in that 5,000 range is what it would cost to basically have some of that hill kind of like level off and the pathway connected to it. I know the village of Estero keeps talking about more pathways, bicycles,
But I think that would be good, because if people are walking to Duffy's or walking, rather than going around, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.